Hey there, Mountaineers! Welcome to episode 10 of Historyland. This episode is going to be a special one since it's the 10th episode in the series, and because we recently hit 500 subscribers. Stay tuned to the end to see who won the giveaway, and for more info about my new Matterhorn merch shop. In this episode, we'll be talking about the infamous cancelled Magic Kingdom land, Thunder Mesa, and its Western River Expedition attraction. Let's get started. When it comes to scrapped or abandoned Disney attractions and lands, most of you will think of things like Westcott. But, by far, the granddaddy of extinct Disney park plans is the extensive Thunder Mesa and its signature attraction, the Western River Expedition. To discuss its history, we'll have to go back in time to 1971, when Walt Disney World's Magic Kingdom opened to guests. When the park opened, it had, for the most part, identical attractions to its West Coast sister, Disneyland. All but one, Pirates of the Caribbean.
Ye come seeking adventure and salty old pirates, eh? Sure, you've come to the proper place.
The idea was that, since Florida was so close to the actual Caribbean, there would be no interest for the ride in the park. But that soon proved to be wrong, since many guests complained about the lack of the iconic pirates in the park. So, in the early 1980s, construction began on an East Coast version of Pirates of the Caribbean, and it opened to guests in April of 1983. Located in Adventureland, the attraction was very similar to Disneyland's version, but also lacked many scenes from Disneyland's. This was because another attraction was in the works, one that would borrow a lot from Pirates and outdo the ride in every way imaginable.
Coming up next, learn about Disney history with Matterhorn Matt on Historyland.
Be our guest, put our magic to the test. Bring a heart that's full of wonder and let Disney do the rest. Come to our world and be part of our family. Come be our guest.
Good night, Mickey.
The Walt Disney World Resort in Florida. Call 407-WDisney.
In the 1960s, plans were drawn up for an attraction that would outdo Pirates of the Caribbean and add on to Frontierland. This was Thunder Mesa. Thunder Mesa would have been home to walking trails, a new station for the Walt Disney World Railroad, a runaway mine train attraction, a flume ride, and the crown jewel, Western River Expedition. This attraction would be very similar to Pirates of the Caribbean, and would be designed by Mark Davis, who also designed scenes for Pirates. Now, this whole concept is very hard to grasp for some, including myself, because of the scope of the project. But luckily, I have images from passport2dreams.blogspot.com to show you all for reference, and be sure to check out their website. It'll be linked in the description below. The land of Thunder Mesa would have been comprised of three main attractions: a runaway mine train, a white rotter canoe flume ride, and the Western River Expedition. All of these would be intertwined with one another on huge show buildings designed to look like Utah's Monument Valley. Here, circled in red, you can see the two show buildings that housed the Western River Expedition, and in blue is where the Walt Disney World Railroad bisects the two, along with a diorama, similar to the Grand Canyon one in Disneyland. Each of Western River's show buildings were comparable in size to the Pirates of the Caribbean main show building. Guests entered the queue in a giant ore elevator, then walked through a mine shaft to the loading dock. The attraction would be a boat ride, similar to Pirates of the Caribbean. Now, this attraction came as close to being built as an attraction can get, but due to conflicting reports, some of the ride's details are fuzzy, so some of what I'm saying might not match up with what others say. Once guests board their boat, they are greeted by a canyon with sounds of nature and enter a cave with stalactites and stalagmites that appear to be shaped like cowboys, coyotes, and others. Guests then emerge into a scene that depicts a stagecoach getting robbed. Past this, we are greeted by cowboys singing the Western River Expedition theme, along with cattle, coyotes, and even cactuses joining along. After this, guests appear in the town of Dry Gulch. Now, The design of the attraction was described to be mostly rockwork and desert scenery, but a lot would be stylized to have Mary Blair's color style, so you can imagine how amazing the next scene, Night on the Town, would look, filled with blue moonlight and red from the setting sun. Many scenes of the attraction were also designed by Mark Davis, who is known for being able to get laughs out of the guests with his comedic scenes. From there, guests would see a group of Indians performing a rain dance, and the boat begins going up a waterfall, where we're met by the same bandits from earlier, surrounded by a forest set on fire by lightning. The boat then slides down the waterfall to avoid the bandits, and we return to the loading and unloading dock. As you can tell and see from the images, this ride would have been amazing and, surprisingly, really immersive. The ride would have used state-of-the-art animatronics and was supposed to outdo many aspects of Pirates of the Caribbean, but a tight budget meant that the future of the attraction was in jeopardy.
Up next, learn about Disney history and more with Matterhorn Matt on Historyland.
In the fall of 1973, the oil crisis struck America and left many Disney attractions on the cutting room floor. Everything that wasn't being actively constructed as of the fall of 1973 was axed, and since WED Enterprises was already full steam ahead with Disney's first second gate, Epcot Center, many projects were abandoned. But the real blow to the attraction came in 1976 when Walt Disney Productions changed the age of their retirement, which meant that Mark Davis would have to retire, essentially removing the mastermind behind the whole thing. And since the construction of Pirates of the Caribbean in the Magic Kingdom was so high, there just wasn't enough money in the budget for something as extensive as the Western River Expedition. Another reason the ride was abandoned was because of its portrayal of Native Americans. During the later years of its development, Mark had removed nearly all natives from the ride. But, strange enough, the Western River Expedition popped up in an expansion for Disneyland in 1978. The land would have connected Bear Country to Tony Baxter's Discovery Bay, which is a topic for another video. But, like its East Coast sister, this version would eventually be scrapped as well. But even though the idea was shelved, many aspects survived in future Disney attractions, such as Big Thunder Mountain, Splash Mountain, and the Thunder Mesa area in Disneyland Paris. But those of us who know its history will never forget the legacy of the attraction and its influences in the Disney parks. And that's the basic history of Thunder Mesa and the Western River Expedition. This ride has a very extensive backstory, and I left out a lot of parts for you guys. So like always, I'll leave links to articles about the ride for those of you who want more information. And I bet you all are dying to see who the giveaway winners are, so here we go. Alright guys, I'm gonna be randomly picking 3 winners for you guys right now, so let's get this thing started. Alright, X-Yeti Videos, it would also be cool if they moved Autopia and maybe added some new attractions. Love the suggestions. Let's get on to winner number 2. Lori, Tomorrowland needs an expansion soon. I hope they bring People Mover at Disneyland Resort in Anaheim, California. I totally agree with you, Lori. Yeah, let's get on with winner number 3. Bob SG35, tough one, but I would really like to see a reworking of Autopia to electric. Love to see all new building fronts. People Mover Redux somehow would be pretty cool. I totally agree with that comment, Bob. And let's see, if your name is X-Yeti Videos, Lori Carlson, or Bob SG35, please message me in my YouTube channel or message me on Twitter so I can get your information in, so you guys can pick out what shirt you guys want. If I haven't received anything by the end of the week, I'll be picking another winner. And as of right now, 5 o'clock p.m. on Friday, The Matterhorn merch shop is live. Links to the shop will be in the description. Let me know which designs you guys like best, and what other designs I should make. And if you buy a t-shirt, be sure to post an image of you wearing it on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook with the hashtag MatterhornMerch. I'm also looking into creating pins for you guys, because I know a lot of you love to collect pins. So be on the lookout for those. And as always, comment down below your thoughts on the ride, and if you'd rather have Pirates of the Caribbean or the Western River Expedition. If you haven't already, go check out my latest podcast with Alex a Historian, where we talk about our ideas for Frontierland. Let's see, Frontierland is an interesting land, because when Disneyland was built, that was when Westerns were, I guess you could say, at its peak, and Walt wanted to add that to his park, and now, 60 years later, Westerns have basically died off. I mean, I haven't seen a Western movie that's been released in theaters recently. Yeah, I mean, I've never actually eaten at the Rancho del Zocalo, or I can never pronounce it right, but I think that's how it's said. But I've heard good things about it, about its Mexican food and all that. And yeah, I mean, when I was a kid, I used to love shooting ranges. As a kid, you're always, I don't want to say always wanting to shoot guns and stuff, but it's true, that's how a lot of kids were. But nowadays kids just aren't, I guess, interested by that. And since it's not actual bullets, shooting at the, which is understandable, they wouldn't want guests shooting each other or anything. But yeah, I'd agree if they took out the shooting range and I guess the restaurant there too, and replaced it with I guess a mini ride, like you said. And I was one of the ones hoping that they would add some sort of Rainbow Cavern scene to the railroad when they reopened it a couple months ago, but that didn't happen, and I was sad.
Oh yeah, I wish that they had did that. They could have done it, but they just didn't.
Yeah, there's plenty of room to do that back on the tracks back there, but I don't know why.
Yeah.
Links will be in the description to my Twitter and Patreon, and as always, see you next time, Mountaineers. Have a great big beautiful tomorrow.